Hello, I'm Charles Coves, Australasia's passion provocateur. Welcome to this week's episode of the Charles Coves Show. In this week's episode, I'm going to explore a key question. Will you believe it when you see it, or will you see it when you believe it? Most people say the former. I put to you that the latter is the important question. This is a crucial idea that governs your experience of your life and your experience of what's going on in your town, in your city, in your country, on your planet. I explore the relevance of cognitive dissonance and the need to be aware of your conscious and unconscious beliefs. This show can change your whole experience of your life. Stick around. This weekly show is founded on the formula SA plus P equals S. Self-awareness plus passion equals success. Your self-awareness plus your passion will give you success, I guarantee it. Since 1993, when I left my successful legal career to become Australasia's passion provocateur, I've provoked, inspired, educated audiences in large conferences, small conferences. I've coached teams, I've coached individuals to understand the power of passion, to understand the need to understand yourselves, and then to harness that passion to live an extraordinary life. My definition of passion is that it's a source of unlimited energy from your soul, your spirit, your heart, that enables you to achieve extraordinary results. I have helped people with my books. Passionate people produce passionate performance. I've worked with teams over long periods of time, sporting teams, business teams, charity teams. This stuff works. This show is also guided by Socrates' famous quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living." I aim to make your life certainly one that's worth living. You can see I'm wearing my red jacket. Red, the colour of passion. And I wear red so that when you see red in your day-to-day life, it reminds you to discover and pursue your passion and to inspire those around you to pursue their passion. Each week I explore one big idea that can change your life. And this week is no exception. And I focus on one big idea because too many ideas create confusion. If you have too many choices, you don't know what to choose, so you don't choose anything. My aim is to make the one big idea simple and usable immediately. I also share with you resources to help you implement the one big idea. A book, a quote, a song with special lyrics, a spiritual tip, a health tip, and some humor. You know, I love humor. Regular listeners, regular viewers would know that. This show is not politically correct, and I'm not have zero interest in being woke. I reject the woke culture. Everybody get that? I reject wokeness in its entirety. It is a bullshit idea. This show definitely subscribes to the view that we have a spiritual life. The human spirit is an amazing resource. I urge you to get in touch with your soul, your spirit, your heart. We love addictions on this show, helpful addictions, such as my addiction to great coffee. Love it. So, here we are in the middle of August. What's been happening this week? Well, I would have to say in Australia, what's happening is appalling. I get reports from all around the world who can't believe what's happening in Australia. In Victoria, we're over 200 days of house arrest. Our Victorian and Australian politicians are appalling. I call them out. They are appalling. They are taking away freedom of people. They are destroying lives, all in the name of safety. We're saving you, they say. The costs to lives, the cost to the economy, appalling. Why? I keep asking why. I have views about why. Do you have views about why? I invite you to think about it. Why is this happening in your country, in your state? If you're from Australia, what is going on? There is an answer, you know. You can find the answer if you look for it. I do have to tell you that Julie Parker Practice Success and our work in the dental industry is doing well. We're doing some amazing products. We're doing some amazing things with dental practices. In the hemp industry, there are some wonderful things happening. I'm CEO of an industrial hemp company that's expanding beautifully. The interest in hemp globally is expanding. Industrial hemp is going to be a lifesaver for many communities. And the work that I'm doing is going to be a crucial factor in that global expansion and global success. My coaching of executives is going well. The consulting work that I do for various businesses is going well. You see, Julie and I have businesses that are global, that even though there's house arrest in the state of Victoria, there are things that can be done. And one of the wonderful parts of our minds are the innovative way in which we can get over problems. And the problems that people are facing today are certainly a minority, because it is not true that everyone's all in this together, as the politicians tell us falsely. 60% of Australians, I reckon, are having a good time. 40% their lives are being destroyed. Julie and I are able to run our various business interests. I'm able to do this show. Julie, of course, is the producer and the director and the editor, so she does a great job there. But we're able to do stuff. I have deep, deep regard, sympathy, concern for those who can't. And I'm delighted to see that the Melbourne Herald Sun is starting a series on the appalling cost of house arrest on so many families. I've established a concept of collaboration amongst groups that want to push back against this house arrest, called the Freedom Collaboration. I'm working with some interesting people, because if we let politicians take away freedom unwittingly and stupidly, it is very difficult to get it back. So don't do it. And I assure you that my exercise regime continues every day. Nothing is more important than eating and exercise and sleep and a little bit of hanky-panky. But don't tell anybody. So, for all of you going through house arrest and suffering, as distinct from those who are going through house arrest and enjoying it, I feel for you. Julie feels for you. Before we get to this week's big idea, let me remind you to visit our websites, covest.com for corporate programs, for public programs, and charlescovest.com for the self-awareness and passion quest. You can subscribe to Passion Points to Ponder. You can get the self-awareness and passion quest manifesto. You can also visit previous episodes of this show. And you can also ask me any question, make any suggestions at my email, which you have. So, this week's big idea: will you believe it when you see it, or will you see it when you believe it? I believe the latter is the truth, and I'll tell you why. I'm also going to explore cognitive dissonance. I'm sure you've seen that expression before. I've explored it many times in my workshops over the last 28 years that I have been Australasia's passion provocateur. Cognitive dissonance is all about inconsistency. Inconsistency with two competing ideas, two competing beliefs, two competing realities inside your brain. And it can cause all sorts of confusion, and it can also cause great disharmony inside you that can also lead to ill health, disease. Let me give you an example of conflicting ideas that you might have, conflicting beliefs you might have. You might believe that the government is always right, and you might believe that I'm no dummy, that I have some ideas, and I don't believe the government is right. So you've got two conflicting beliefs, that you believe I'm not stupid, and you believe government is always right. Here's another example of cognitive dissonance, that doctors always try to do the right thing, and doctors injured your mother or your father when they looked after that person. And indeed, I invite you to think about this question of doctors always do the right thing, if that's your belief system. How many times you've heard of people who have gone to their doctor and have been told there's nothing wrong, and the patient knows there's something wrong, and they go to doctor after doctor, medical practitioner, healer after healer, and then after the sixth or seventh professional looks at them, they discover a serious problem that the previous experts didn't discover. How many times are you aware of that? I'm aware of plenty of such examples. You also need to realize that the medical profession actually doesn't know very much about how your body functions at all. I've had experts tell me it's less than 5% they understand of what's going on inside your body. So this confidence that the medical profession has about, yes, we know what the truth is, the science is settled. You've heard me previously say that is BS. Now, in terms of cognitive dissonance, and in terms of seeing it when you believe it, not believing it when you see it, I remind you of RAS, R-A-S, the reticular activating system. And this works on the basis that you see what you are thinking about. Your conscious mind cannot see everything that is going on around you. So your focus, your conscious focus, goes on things that you are thinking about. It's a reticular activating system. So stuff that comes into your eyes, you don't see unless you are thinking about it, because the way your eyes work is that a light ray hits it, goes to the retina, and a message goes along the optic nerve to your brain that then interprets what's happening. Now, if you don't believe that something exists, okay, if you don't believe that something exists, like fraudulent government activity, corrupt government, then it won't register in your mind. You will see it, but because you don't believe, it will be happening, but because you don't believe it, you don't see it. Your mind can't take it in. It's literally your beliefs determining what your mind actually sees. I'll give you an example. This also happens, in terms of RAS, but in terms of belief. I was looking for a post box. I was working in an office for 3 months, and the proprietor of the business, a good friend of mine, Jeff, he said the post box is at the front door. What? I said, yeah, right at the front door. I said, nonsense. I went out the front door. Sure enough, there was a physical post box, bright red, the colour of my jacket. Not once in 3 months had I noticed that post box there. So the issue around what you notice, what you see, is a function of what you put your attention on and on what you believe. If you don't believe that governments are cheats and are corrupt, you won't see it. If you're here and you believe that government is here to protect your safety, you won't see anything to the contrary. I urge you to question your beliefs. I promise you that I do. I've been accused by some people that I'm set in my ways. That also is BS. I'm not at all. I'm totally open to evidence. I keep saying to you, as human beings, we know such a tiny, tiny amount, and the medical profession knows such a tiny, tiny amount of what's going on inside the 100 trillion cells that make up your body. Why would I have a closed mind? I'm constantly seeking to understand what I believe and my unconscious beliefs, because my unconscious beliefs become apparent in my reactions to circumstances. And so where this becomes relevant is if you have views about what's going on in your country, in your state, in your planet, and you bring a matter to the attention of one of your friends or one of your family who don't believe what you do, they won't see it. They can't see it. You see, once we have an unconscious belief or a conscious belief, data and facts are very difficult to shift these, unless the person has an open mind and willing to question beliefs. In my experience, very few people do. My father always taught me to be willing to question beliefs. I urge you to do so. And when you awaken to the beliefs that you have, your experience of your life will change. Holding two contrary positions in your mind causes you distress. Cognitive dissonance causes you distress. It's time to wake up. It's time to see more of the reality of what's happening versus the reality that you are creating in your mind. You will start to see what you presently can't see if you are willing to question your beliefs. So the power of belief is beautifully encompassed in Whitney Houston's wonderful song, The Greatest Love of All. I believe the children are our future, who, by the way, are being decimated by these house arrests. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. I won't sing this song. I can't sing Whitney. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. That's a salutary reminder, isn't it? Everybody's searching for a hero. That's what we need today on the planet. People need someone to look up to. I do not consider our politicians in Australia anyone to look up to. They are, in my view, entirely disappointing. I'm appalled. Whitney goes on, I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. I urge you to depend on you and to keep working on you. The salutary quotes that tie into that song. Ralph Waldo, I've got two quotes this week, bonus for regular viewers, regular listeners. Ralph Waldo Emerson, I'm a big fan of him, 19th century American philosopher. What lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us. You have enormous power inside you. And your belief about your power will dictate your ability to access that power. And a beautiful quote by Stephen Levine. I don't know who Stephen Levine was. Some of you might send me an email. I'll report back next week. Beautiful quote. Buddha left a roadmap. Jesus left a roadmap. Krishna left a roadmap. Gandhi left a roadmap. Rand McNally left a roadmap in its atlases. But you still have to travel the road yourself. You have to travel this road. You have to decide how you're going to, even though the roadmaps have been set out. My book of the week is by Joe Marchant called Cure, A Journey into the Science of Mind over Body. This book will blow your mind about the gross, low-level, grossly inaccurate and minuscule understanding of the medical profession about how our body works. This will blow your mind. Cure by Joe Marchant. If you want to blow your mind, which is what I'm talking about today, you have to read books like Cure. My spiritual tip is to remind you of the power of prayer. I consider that we need a spiritual awakening. We need to tap into the human spirit. And for those of you who pray, I remind you of the power of prayer in your life. It is too easy to get caught up in the behavior of politicians, in the impact of house arrests. Prayer and nurturing your human spirit in challenging times, and I do consider these to be challenging times, is a powerful resource. In terms of your health tip, I was reminded yesterday in a beautiful piece while I'm drinking my coffee that as human beings we are electromagnet entities. There's electricity coursing through our bodies. There are functionings inside our body, little understood, that essentially make us an electromagnetic being. So the health tip tied into that is the power of singing aloud, singing out loud. That singing process changes the frequency of your body, as does prayer. So I urge you to do what Julie does when you're driving in your car. Sing out loud. It's a powerful tool. Now, we've been talking about beliefs, and those beliefs create different experiences of life, different realities. So it's time for a spot of humour. And what better piece of humour than the classic question that was asked by the kindergarten teacher: why did the chicken cross the road? Well, that will depend on your belief system, won't it? That will depend on whether you have cognitive dissonance or not, won't it? Let me give you some examples. The kindergarten teacher would respond, to get to the other side, of course. Well, what would Plato say? Plato, the Greek philosopher, he would say, why did the chicken cross the road? For the greater good. Aristotle would have said, it's in the nature of chickens to cross the road. Karl Marx would say, it was a historical inevitability. Timothy Leary, think back to flower power in the 60s in California, because that's the only trip the establishment would let it take. Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek, to boldly go where no chicken has gone before. Martin Luther King, a man who fought for freedom, a man who fought against racism. I envision a world where all chickens will be free to cross roads without having their motives being called into question. Love it. I've got many more. I might continue those different realities next week. Well, think about how your reality can change when you examine and change your beliefs. You will see it when you believe it. Become aware of inconsistent beliefs that you might be holding. Minimize cognitive dissonance in your own life, in your mind. This will make a difference to your life and help you be the success that you aspire to be. Because your success is nobody else's success. Your success is your own reality that you create. I again invite you to visit our websites, covest.com, charlescovest.com. Subscribe to Passion Points. If you enjoy this show, please share it with your friends. Please subscribe to the podcast, to the YouTube. Share it with your family. Share it with your colleagues. My books are available on the websites Passionate People Produce and Passionate Performance. And until next week, may you thrive in the challenging times in which we live. And you will thrive if you pay attention to the mental, physical, and spiritual elements that you have inside you And as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, what is inside you is far more powerful than what is happening outside you. Have a great week. Thanks for being with us. I look forward to being with you next week. Bye.